Well, good morning to everyone who is tuning in on this morning. I'm Calvin Ward, and you are listening to the Strategic Living Radio broadcast. You listen to the Strategic Living Radio broadcast. This is an online radio show, of course. And I'm coming to you from the city of El Paso this time. Last time it was San Antonio, so I would come out of San Antonio. So this time I'm coming to you from El Paso. Now, in addition to that, I want to just say good morning and welcome you to the show. There are a couple other broadcasts that you might want to check out. At one point in time, I was getting some traction. However, I'm going to start these back up. And I try to publish these on Saturday morning, really before I started my day, to put something out there. This was my version of adding value. Again, this was my version of adding value. And you always want to add value because if you're in business, it increases the potentiality that you will receive and get the business that you need, the business that you want, the business that you desire. When you make a decision to always add value to other people. You know, you have a lot of people who are in sales. Sales is at the crux of business. But if you care not about customer service and raising the level of customer service, and if you care not about adding value, then, you know, where is your business really? What are you focusing on? I said that because there are those who have business, right? There are those who have business, but when they go out to get new business, they would rather receive something than to give something first. So you have some people who believe that in business, I should receive something before I get something, right? Before I give something. And so one of the principles that you can just grab and place in your pocket that will just help you out this week in business is the principle of adding value. You have to have value added service. When you meet someone, what do they get from you when they meet you? Have you built up your skill set so that when people come around you, when they meet you, they get something added to who they are? They get another skill. They get a piece of information they did not know. They get a principle that they can apply to their lives. They get information about a product. It's something that you add to them. And see, adding value to people is what causes people to want to be around you. It's what causes people to come to you rather than other people. And this is more important when it comes to small business rather than big business. See, small businesses master these skills. And when they become bigger businesses, they're in the process of mastering as they're in the process of moving and transforming, if that makes sense to you. Because if you can't get these skills down packed right now, then what's going to happen when you grow? What is going to happen when you get other employees? And what is going to happen when you acquire more real estate, acquire a building, when you need to increase your budget, when you get investors? What will they see? How will you look? What will they see? What will happen? So this is why adding value is something good. But that is not the reason for this show. I just want to be before you a few minutes. And I want to share with you a concept that I came to be introduced to. It's a concept I want to share with you today. So the first thing is, I want to ask you, if you're listening to this, how many books have you read this year? I want to ask you that. How serious are you about being successful? How serious are you about doing the things that you need to do to be successful? A lot of people proclaim, I want to be successful. But then when you look at their lives, they are not doing the actions that are necessary to be successful. They are not doing those actions. So a lot of people speak with their mouth and they say they believe in their mind, they believe in their heart, but their actions do not show. The passion that they claim is in their heart is not evident. And it's just not clearly evident. It's not in their actions, right? And so this is prominent and prevalent. This is prominent and prevalent in a lot of people. If you have a small business, if you are an independent contractor, and let's stay there for a minute, independent contractors, individuals who go and start businesses. Perhaps you have a network marketing business or direct sales business. This is so true in this industry. What are the actions? Have you researched the actions that you need to do to make your business successful? And I'm not just talking about listening to what your upline says. If you are in a business and you're an independent contractor, then you are following the system that your business has set up. But what are you doing after that? Even Grant Cardone has said and let us know, listen, if you're going to be successful in selling, and for those of you who do not know who Grant Cardone is, Grant Cardone could be called the greatest salesman in the world. That's what some people call him. But check this out. He even tells us that you have to diversify your techniques. You can't just rely on one technique. Though he emphasizes that phone, calling people, the use of the phone is a very powerful technique. It's the primary technique that should be used in contacting customers and creating sales, and some other techniques that are connected to that. And that's another show. But he says you have to use multiple techniques. So in your business, you may be using the system. And maybe because of who you are, the system is not working as quickly as you would like it to. You might need to diversify your tactics and your techniques. And it's the same thing with small businesses. When you're a small business, you have to consider the area you're in. You have to consider the demographic. You have to consider the culture. You have to consider the population. You know what I'm saying? When I say demographics, you need to break those down into, your age groups, your ethnicities, your median income per capita. You have to break that down so you will know what you're dealing with. And if you can break those statistics down in a city, you can then target your market, right? You can then say, okay, in this city that I live in, there's about 75,000 people. Of the 75,000, you've broken them down into Black or African-American, white, Hispanic, Indian, Oriental. You've broken them down into all those different classifications. Then let's say you said, okay, I am going to break this down into the income brackets. So now you have your income brackets broken down by ethnicity. You might want to break it down again by using age. So your income bracket broken down by ethnicity and then using age, right? So then, age, and then you already have your income, ethnicity, and age. So now you look at your business, and let me ask you this. Do you know the individual that you're marketing to? Do you know the description of the individual that you are marketing to? What is their age? What is their age? Because ethnicity might work, but if you're trying to get the money, ethnicity will work. It might change up your strategy a little bit. But what is the age? What is their median income? Because you need to know if the people you're marketing to have the disposable income to use on your service. Does that make sense? So if I have a lawn care business, let's use that. If I have a lawn care business, who am I targeting? Will I be going into the ghetto to target people? I would not. I need to target homeowners, right? So you need to be a part of a homeowners association, the ones in your areas. You need to be part of groups and councils and things in your city that will place you in front of people who own homes, place you in front of the people who make decisions on taxes, place you in front of people who are business owners. Why? Because most business owners are going to have their own home. You need to be in front of groups that will get you in front of real estate investors. These are the sorts of things that you need to research, and the sorts of people you would need to be in front of, right? And that's what will help you get in front of the most people in the smallest amount of time, if that makes sense. But a lot of us don't know how to network. So we never explore all of those options. We think we're networking because we join a couple of groups. But what do you do once you join the group? Some of us think we're networking because you pay all this money to join a national networking group. Well, how much money has that group brought you in business throughout the year? And compare that to the monthly fees you're paying, the monthly money that you're spending on meals, as well as the annual membership fee. And see if you made more revenue because of the organization than just by being a part of the organization. And these are things people need to know. So let me get into the main part of this. I want to give you a concept that I came around, and this is for you personally. I tell people your brain your reticular activating system, that part of your brain that focuses on what you tell it to focus on. Once you know how to confirm and affirm and decree and declare and set out your goals, and you plant those goals in your subconscious, your reticular activating system is the part of your brain that will cancel out everything around you that does not match up and that does not look like what it is that you planted in it. This is why people have to be laser focused. This is the magic of people seeing their dreams, people going forth in their dreams, people being laser focused, because you have to know what you want. And as it's been said, if it's not on paper, it's just a dream. So once your dreams get on paper, they now turn into goals. So as long as it's in your head, it's just a dream. It's just an idea. Until you put it on paper and organize it, now it's a goal. Now you can begin to plan. Now you can begin to make some decisions on it. And once you have concrete goals and you plant those goals in your subconscious, your RAS, which I call your executive secretary of You Incorporated, your brain, the executive secretary of You Incorporated, it will begin to work for you. It will begin to help you. It will begin to go forth and help you to create those things that you want. It helps to look for the goals or everything that is necessary to reach the goals that you have planted in it. And it just helps you to stay focused. So every day your subconscious will be working for you. That is such a powerful tool if we knew how to use it. But the first step is taking your goals and getting them out of your head, which are dreams, on paper so they can be real goals. Now, in doing that, personal success has to be something that you strive for. And recently I read a book, and I want to share. It's by Daniel Coyle. And I want to share with you something in this book, 2 concepts. And if you get these 2 concepts, it'll take you faster in life if you understand it. The faster you understand it, the faster you will be able to go forth, and you'll be able to grasp an idea. And then if you enact it, if you enact this idea, if you put it foremost in your mind to implement these concepts, these ideas, you can see change in your life personally as soon as you would like to see it. Let's put it like that. I won't say immediately. I would say as soon as you would like to see it, because a lot of people say, I want to improve. I want to go forth. I want to make this happen. I need to get a promotion. I need to start a business. I need to make more income. I need to do these things. But how bad do you want it? How bad do you want it? How bad? Or do you just want to sit on your couch and just watch TV and watch Netflix? You just want to get up every day. You don't exercise, get up every day, go to the same old job. You have students, they go to the same job. You try to give students and give people a different route, a different way to go. And they are so set in their ways. They're so set in their ways. Look, successful people who change the way they think so that they can get things that they don't have. They have to change the way they think so that they can get things that they don't have. That first applies to money, right? You have to change the way you think about what? About money, so that you can receive the money that you did not have. One of the first things you need to do is arrange your finances. And when you want to be successful, you set personal goals. And so I'm going to ask you, what is your talent? What are your skills? Right? And I'm going to go over a concept called R.E.P.S. I love this. I'm going to read this from Daniel Coyle out of one of his books. He says the biggest problem in choosing a practice strategy, and let me say this before I say that. What Daniel Coyle is talking about here is talent. You have a talent. I have a talent. Everybody has a talent. It takes a powerful coach with vision, or someone who is a mentor, someone who has the ability to coach, because all mentors are not coaches. Let's just put that out there. It takes a good coach to be able to recognize that talent and to know how to steward that talent, especially in the best way that's right for the individual. Good coaches don't cookie cut mentorship and coaching tactics and skills. Mentors don't blanket coaching tactics and skills and strategies. They cookie cut their tactics, skills, and strategies to each individual member, which maximizes the overall effectiveness of the team. It makes the individual feel as though you are talking directly to them. They feel cared for, right? They feel like you're paying attention to them. And when you make that eye contact, when you have that emotion, they can communicate that to them. It just quickens them. It gives them a passion. It gives them a motivation, and they want to go forth. They want to receive that advice, and they want to change. So good coaches know how to do that. The difference between a coach and a mentor is another show, but good coaches know how to do that. And so Daniel was talking about talent here. And he went around the country. He said Daniel was able to talk to different people about talent. He went to some of the talent hotbeds, right? Places in the country that produce some of the best people in the world. And he studied what makes an individual a world-class individual in their domain, in their job area, in what it is that they do. And he studied that and gave us some information and some tips and some tools about talent, because it's a myth that people are more talented than you. It is a myth. Nobody is more talented than you. Nobody is greater than you. You just have to make the decision that I am going to be whatever it is that you need to be, whoever it is you are comparing yourself to. And you can do that through daily actions, through change, and you can make it happen. You are the captain of your ship, right? You can make that happen. So when talking about talented people, when talking about the people that are world-class in the world, you have to emphasize the fact that they practice. And so it's the practice that makes the difference. I don't even want to ask you, how long do you practice before every hour that you perform? Some say that the formula is 5 hours of practice for every hour that you have to perform, or 10 hours of practice for every hour that you have to perform. What do you have to perform? And how long are you practicing? That's the first question I'm going to pose to you. What is it that you have to perform skillfully, repeatedly, over and over again and produce? And number two, how often do you practice? And we don't understand. A lot of us want to be successful, but we do not practice. A lot of us want to be successful, but we just don't practice. We don't repeat. We don't do. We don't read. You read so you can know. You know so you can practice. So it's in the practice that makes the expert. It is in the practice that the success is built. It's not in winning. Even when it comes to sports, sports is probably not one of the best arenas to gauge or to learn from, because with the amount of people that are there and there's a scoreboard, people think that the learning comes from whoever won. But a good coach is able to extrapolate all sorts of tidbits from a game and turn it into a learning experience, not just a learning experience, but a performance experience. You have to turn every loss into a performance experience and then make it an input back into your next success. So all of that being said, I'm focusing on practice. Practice is the key to the world class. The key to world class is practice. And I'll say this. You have people who may hear this and think that these principles do not work. And say, who are you? World class, world class, world class. The principles of world class work when you're known, and they work when you are not known. They work when you're local, and they work when you are international. But the way to become national and international is to work the principles and to practice and work the skills repeatedly with PDR, right? Practice, drill, rehearse, so that you can understand what's going on. So that you can correct, so that you can know. You consistently become better. So I want to explain this to you, R.E.P.S, R-E.P.S. It's called the R.E.P.S gauge. So Daniel says it's called the R.E.P.S gauge. Each letter stands for a key element of deep practice. So you have practice and you have deep practice. And right now, what R.E.P.S is going to do is going to explain to you how you need to practice in order to produce at a level above or to get to that world-class level or get to that higher level of producing, managing, leading, guiding, performing that you are looking for. Each letter stands for a key element of deep practice. So it's not just normal practice, this is deep practice. The R stands for reaching and repeating. The R stands for reaching and repeating. Reaching and repeating. So in the scenario Daniel gives here, for reaching and repeating, he gives you the example that two math teachers are teaching multiplication tables to 30 students, right? The first teacher picks out one student to write the tables on the board, right? The second teacher creates a game show format in which a multiplication problem is posed verbally to the entire class. Then a single student is called on to answer. Now, the R in R.E.P.S is reaching and repeating. So the question here in these two scenarios, the teacher that called on one person or the teacher that turned it into a game, who has the better option of getting the most out of the learning experience in the method that they have? And the result is that the second teacher had the better option, because it creates 30 reaches. If you got 30 students in your class and you just pick one out to come to the board to give you an answer versus turn it into a game show where you have now everybody in the class has to reach. Everybody has to reach in order to perform, right? Nobody sits back and observe while someone else is performing. Then everybody in the room has to perform. That is the better option. Right? So this is why creativity needs to go into the classroom. If you are a teacher, creativity. I used to teach microbiology. Creativity, you need it in the classroom. It causes your students to reach. And when we talk about reach, it needs to be something where they are not just able to give an answer. It needs to be something they need to think about, something that causes them to get out of their comfort zone in order to make it happen, if that makes sense. So the E in R.E.P.S is engagement. That leads us into the engagement, right? Reaching and repeating, R, reach and repeat. Uncomfortable. Your practice needs to be uncomfortable for you. It's reach. You should have to reach in your practice. If you're practicing a song or music on the piano, right, and you mess something up, stop, start again, or make it a game. You have to play it perfect so many times before you have to start over. Whatever the case is, and I'm using that as one of the examples that Daniel gave, but you need to reach. There was an example with a soccer team. They put the soccer team in a room the size of a small bedroom so that they can play and bounce that ball. Kick the ball and get their skills up. So it really increased their moving speed and their response to It increases their moving speed and their response to each other because they're in a smaller space, which just increases their overall performance when they're actually on the field. But it caused them to reach a little bit more, to step out of their comfort zone. And then you want to repeat it, right? So that's a great example. The E is engagement. Is how you're practicing immersive? Does it have your attention? Is it helping you toward a goal? How your practice is designed. The E is for engagement. How your practice is designed helps you. In the example Daniel gives, you got two trumpeters. The first trumpeter plays a piece 20 times or a passage 20 times. The second trumpeter tries to play the passage perfectly with 0 mistakes 5 times in a row. If she makes a mistake, the count goes back to 0 and she starts over. Of the two, the most engagement is going to be that second trumpeter. It gets boring just playing something over and over and over again. But if you can play it perfectly, and when you stop, you got to go back to the beginning, it changes your reach and it changes the amount of focus. It changes your engagement in the activity that you are doing. 3, purposefulness. So we said reaching and repeating. R. E is engagement. R.E.P. is purposefulness. Does the task directly connect to the skill you want to build? Does the task connect directly to the skill that you want to build? I'll use the example of those that are in network marketing. I'll say another comment from Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone focuses on, if you are in marketing and you have your business, the number one, not just network marketing, but any form of marketing, that the number one tool that you should be using is going to be the phone. And he talks about that. It's going to be the phone. And so for those that are in sales, you need to practice scripts, the purposefulness. So if you are practicing, it's reaching and repeating, because you're going to do it over and over again, reaching and repeating, and you're engaged in it, which will be a good example, talking to one another, getting engaged in it. And then what is its purposefulness? Its purposefulness is because you're going to have to use that skill when you're on the phone talking to the client. So you're going to have to repeat, get different scripts to repeat, different scripts to use, different scripts to say. So in this example of purposefulness, you got 2 basketball teams who keep losing games because of missed free throws. 2 basketball teams keep losing games because of missed free throws. So in team A, the first team, what they do to try to counteract this is they practice free throws at the end of practice. Each player has to shoot 50 free throws. But the second basketball team practices free throws intermittently during a full court scrimmage, with the fouled player shooting while tired and under pressure, as in a game. This is so good. So who had the better choice? It was the second team. Why? That team is reaching and repeating. That team is actually practicing those free throws. That individual player is tired and they're weak and they're in the game, so they are definitely engaged. But watch this. They're practicing this free throw during a full court scrimmage with the foul player while they are, here's the key words, tired, and while they are under pressure. While they're tired and under pressure. Why? When you want to practice something, when you do practice the PDR and rehearse, I forgot the D. When you do the PDR and you rehearse, the thing is you want to practice how you are going to perform. Train how you're going to perform. Train how you're going to perform. Like the Army says, train how you fight. You want to practice how you're going to perform. And so you want all emotional aspects, environmental aspects, that are going to be there, that are going to affect the psychological aspect. And it places another level of stress, which makes it more real time, which means that they can perform there. They are now creating new pathways in their brain and in their nervous system. And it's going to be there over the long haul, because it's going to help them the next time they go to do that task, and they will get better each and every time that they do it. The last letter in R.E.P.S, R-E.P.S, R was for reaching and repeating, E was for engagement, P is for purposefulness. The last one for R.E.P.S is S. Strong and speedy feedback. Strong and speedy feedback. Does the learner receive a stream of accurate information about his performance? One of the things that I like about communications when you deal with circuits is that there's a feedback loop. The feedback loop is meant to keep the process going. A signal, something goes into something is inputted. You have a message. It's inputted into a system. It's discriminated and processed. You get an output, and then whatever that output is, you get a feedback loop, and it continues to work the system. So with the S here, we're talking about strong and speedy feedback. Doing a task, and right after you do it, as soon as you mess up or You correct yourself and give yourself feedback. Go back into the process to start again. This scenario, we got 2 students trying to improve their SAT scores. First student spends a Saturday taking a mock version of the SAT test, and then they receive the test a week later to see how they did, right? The second student spends Saturday taking a mini version of each section, then grading herself and reviewing each test in detail as soon as it's completed. She is getting feedback immediately, which is causing her to to self-correct and to go forward. Now, the process of immediate feedback is going to be a form of auto-correction because it's going to be a part of her normal processes. But when you continually do that, when you are ready to get instantaneous feedback from something that needs to be corrected, it causes you to be more resilient. It causes you to bounce back quicker. It causes you to be better in the task that you're doing, and it causes you to go farther quicker. It causes you to go farther quicker. At the end of the day, small changes in a method can lead to large increases in your learning velocity. Your learning velocity, which is what Daniel says. And so that was the skill that I wanted to share with you. I wanted to share with you on today, reps. So I'm going to ask you this question. How many reps are you doing? How many reps are you doing? How much reaching and repeating are you doing? How much engagement in your practice are you getting? You know what I'm saying? How much purposefulness does that practice have? And do you have some speedy change at the end of the day? What are you doing? Strong and speedy feedback. Do you have it? Do you have it? And if you're doing that, you're helping yourself. So that's all I'm going to give you on that. And I want to give you one more nugget, because this right here is going to change your life. I want to give you one more nugget. This nugget here is going to talk about what happens in your brain when you practice reps. Because something I didn't know was that your nerves and the connections in your brain are almost like a coax cable or an internet cable. You know, when you see these cables and they have a sheath wrapped around it to insulate the signal, to protect from signal degradation, right? And all of that. So it keeps the signal that's going through it. Well, your nerves or your muscles have an insulator, which is a myelin sheath. It's a myelin sheath. And people didn't think it did anything. People didn't think that it did anything. These myelin sheaths that work in your brain, they wrap around your nerves to protect them. And so basically when you train, you're sending impulses along these wires and you're giving signals to myelinate the wire, right? So your nerves are being myelinated. The more you practice, it's as if your nerves are becoming better and there's a myelin sheath created around that nerve to protect it and to allow it to perform better and to remember what it has. And so the more you train and the more you learn, the more you make bigger wires, so to speak, in your brain, which causes for more information to go through that wire. That information will go through that wire faster. And so it will increase your response. It will increase how much you know. It will increase all activities connected to it. And I just want to throw that out there so that you can make sense of that, because I'm connecting that with practice, because what people do not know is that action is vital. Action is vital. You know, this myelin is like it's like a paving machine. It insulates the circuitry of your brain so that when you train and you train and you train, the myelin insulates the circuitry of your brain. It keeps it there and it helps you to go better, to go forth better, to do whatever you do better. And it continues to happen till about age 50, right? But as much as you have, all the information that you know, all the practice, all of those things, they are there. This is why you want to strive to get as much as you can get, to know as much as you can know, to do as much as you can do, to train as much as you can train, to practice as much as you can practice. Practice does not make perfect. Practice makes myelin, and myelin makes perfect. I love that phrase. Got that from Mr. Coyle. I love the way he says that. And then another phrase that Mr. Coyle says is that the phrase, those that can't do, teach, should really be reworded, because it makes no sense. The phrase, those that can't do, teach, should be rephrased into those that teach and do better. So I want to leave you with those two statements on today. I hope you got something from this broadcast and from this message. Please share this with someone. My goal is to encourage you, is to help you, is to add value to you. So please share this with someone you know that is trying to become better, that's trying to be more successful in the area that they are in, that is trying to get a tidbit or get something that they can use and implement in their life to help them be better, to make them better, and to help them increase, the bottom line of their life. And remember, you are a corporation. Your brain, remember your RAS. It is the executive secretary of You Incorporated. Program it. Get your goals out of your head and on paper. Write it down. Go forth with it. With that, be blessed. Thank you for tuning in.